The other reason why, survivors like you and me keep going back to our abusive parent is, because of this hope for repair. Deep down, the inner child in us keeps thinking and keeps hoping that one fine day mommy will see me, one fine day daddy will change, mommy will change, everything will be fine, but nothing changes. Yeah. Hey everyone, I hope everyone is doing good and taking good care of themselves. So today I'm going to talk about why it is so hard to heal from emotional incest by a narcissistic parent. And before I get going, I would request you all to like, share, subscribe the channel, hit the notification bell so you guys are updated whenever we put out a new content. So hello and welcome to my channel. You know who I am. I am Sarah Khan, trauma professional and a narcissistic abuse recovery coach. And today we are deep diving into one of the most, covert and devastating forms of abuse, emotional incest, or covert incest. Unlike physical abuse, this form of trauma is hard to name because it doesn't involve, physical boundaries. Instead, it's all about psychological possession. So, there are very limited or no physical scars. It's all about psychological possession. It's all about psychological warfare that happens. Yeah, the turmoil, the ups and downs that you experience on the inside. So in emotional incest, the parent treats the child not as a child, but as an adult, as a spouse, as a therapist, or as a caretaker. Anything but a kid, who is allowed to just be. Yeah. Many, survivors ask me, why is it so hard to heal from this, from emotional incest, if you have experienced or if you're a victim of emotional incest? And the answer lies in how deeply this abuse shapes your identity, your relationships, and even your body. So let's unmask this step by step. So let us briefly understand what emotional incest is. So emotional incest, also covert incest, happens, when the narcissistic parent uses their child to meet, their emotional, physical, in some cases, their needs that should be met by other adult. Yeah. Example include, treating the child as their, emotional spouse or confidant, oversharing things, not sharing age appropriate things, but sharing things which is age inappropriate. Yeah, oversharing adult problems, money, sex, relationship, expecting the child to soothe their loneliness, anger, or emptiness, pushing the child for wanting independence. Yeah, punishing the child for wanting independence. And if you're aware with psychologist Dr. Kenneth Adams' work in his book Silently Seduced, he explains how this form of enmeshment traps children in loyalty to their parents' needs while destroying their sense of self. Yeah. You weren't raised by your parents, you were recruited for a specific purpose. Yeah, so this is what it does. I mean, emotional incest does. It trains you to serve them and not to tend to your own needs, wants, and requirements. Now, let us understand why it is so hard and difficult and impossible to heal from emotional incest. There are 5 core reasons. Healing from emotional incest is uniquely difficult and painful and impossible in some cases. The first is love and abuse entangled. So the abuse was disguised as love. You are my everything, you are the only one who understands me. So your nervous system, with time associates closeness with control and care with exploitation. And this makes you question, was it really abuse or was I special? Yeah, because it's so much, interconnected, overlapping, that you just don't know what is love and what is abuse. They are so entangled and enmeshed that you feel, was it really abuse or was I special? And that's why, everything was shared with me. I was the close one because I was special. Yeah, that is the first reason. The second reason is the guilt is overwhelming. So you were conditioned to believe your parents' happiness was your responsibility. Yeah. Whenever you tried setting boundaries as an adult with them, it always felt like betrayal. What the fuck am I doing? Why the hell am I setting boundaries? This is betraying my mom. This is like betraying my daddy. Yeah. And survivors who are victims of emotional incest, they often, carry this crushing sense of guilt long after going no contact also. Yeah, they feel guilty. I should have given another chance. I was very harsh. I shouldn't have done this. I should have, made things work out. Yeah, they have this, guilt on the inside. They keep experiencing that guilt. Yeah, even when the narcissistic parent is dead and gone, or even when they go no contact. The other reason why it gets really difficult for these victims, these survivors, to overcome and heal is because their identity was hijacked. So you were never allowed to develop a separate self. Instead of asking who am I, you learn to ask who do they need me to be. Yeah, they need me to be the good son, rather than me wanting to be XYZ. Yeah, you never focused on what I want. You always focused on what they want out of me. Yeah. And you need to understand healing requires building an identity from scratch, which in most of the cases feels terrifying. Yeah, so you were never allowed to develop a separate self. Your entire identity was hijacked, since childhood by your narcissistic parent because of this emotional incest. The other reason why it's very difficult to heal from emotional incest is because, adult relationships trigger old wounds. So romantic partners may feel like rivals to your parent. Intimacy feels unsafe because love has always meant losing yourself. Yeah, many survivors, either avoid relationship or recreate the enmeshment with new partners. Yeah, because this new thing feels unsafe. Me loving my partner feels like betraying my parent. My romantic partner might be seen as a rival to my parent. Yeah, so a lot of confusion is there, a lot of misunderstanding, a lot of wrong ways you perceive things, and because of that it becomes really difficult to heal from emotional incest. And the last way and the last reason why it gets really difficult to heal from emotional incest is because, again, as what I say in a lot of the videos, is that trauma is invisible. Yeah, unlike physical abuse, there is no bruise, no scar. Yeah, and of course family and society plays an important role. They keep dismissing it. But your mom loved you so much, your daddy loved you so much, she sacrificed this, daddy sacrificed this. And without external validation, survivors doubt their own reality. They are unable to stabilize, they are unable to ground themselves without external validation. And when that external validation is coming from toxic family and toxic society, you are effed up. It's next to impossible to heal when you're surrounded by those individuals. You need external validation, to believe in your own reality, because everyone is gaslighting you. You also don't know who you are, what you want. Yeah? And when you're surrounded by such individuals, it's like a plus plus. You are effed up in a lot of unexpected ways, because of these folks who surround you. So let us understand the psychological and physical toll. So emotional incest is not just emotional. It leaves marks on the body, brain, and your entire nervous system. You will experience chronic anxiety, because you were always on alert. You will experience depression because your needs were erased. You will experience a lot of somatic symptoms, headaches, digestive issues, autoimmune flare-ups, because the body carries the stress of long-term enmeshment. You might experience, PTSD-like symptoms, flashbacks, emotional triggers, and dissociation. And, Dr. Bessel van der Kolk has done an amazing work, and I don't get tired quoting his work. I mean, he's written amazing things in his beautiful book, The Body Keeps the Score. He explains with examples how this kind of trauma is stored in the body and rewires the entire nervous system, to see independence as dangerous, to see independence as a bad thing. So let me remain caged. Let me not go and explore the unseen. Let me remain caged. Even if it is a familiar hell, it's okay, but let me not go out there and explore and venture and find unfamiliar heaven. Yeah, familiar hell is better. Let me not venture, let me not explore. Now you guys must be wondering, why do survivors keep going back to their narcissistic parents? I used to ask the same question. I used to do it as well, but I stopped, and with study, with experience, I got the answer why. It's because of trauma bonding. So the abuse and affection were mixed, yeah, and that created a kind of an addiction cycle. So we keep going back to them, we keep hoping for good treatment, and we try and consciously forget the bad things they did with us, yeah, in hopes that one day I'll be treated right, or one day they treated us right. That was so good, that was so amazing, that we just want to experience that one day, even though 364 days I am ready to be abused. Just one day of that good treatment is okay. So that is what trauma bonding does. When abuse and affection is all mixed, it's confusing. You just don't know when you are being abused or when you are being loved. Yeah, and that's when you in some ways get addicted to your abuser. Yeah. The other reason why we keep going back to our abuser, in this case our narcissistic parent, is fear of abandonment. Yeah, as a child, losing your parent means losing survival, and we don't want that. We are wired to seek them. We are wired to have them for our survival since childhood. Yeah, and in adult life also, we feel that we might lose them. So the best thing is have them close. We don't see that they are keeping us on leash. We feel that it's our responsibility to keep them close. So what if he's angry? So what if she's abusive and angry and toxic? It's my mother and I need to keep her close. Yeah, again, that is also there, fear of abandonment, from the parent. We don't want to lose them, or we don't want to be abandoned and discarded by them. So let me go back to them. Yeah? The other reason why, survivors like you and me keep going back to our abusive parent is, because of this hope for repair. Deep down, the inner child in us keeps thinking and keeps hoping that one fine day mommy will see me, one fine day daddy will change, mommy will change, everything will be fine, but nothing changes. Yeah, they become more shitty, they put us through more shit. Yeah, so simply going no contact doesn't heal the wound. Definitely, I do suggest going no contact, but no contact alone doesn't heal all of the wounds, doesn't heal you, doesn't resurrect the new you. Healing requires a lot of time and a lot of inner work. So how do we heal from emotional incest? It's actually difficult, but it's not impossible. Recovery is possible, but it's a kind of a process of unlearning. When you want to heal from emotional incest, there's a lot of unlearning. First thing again is name the abuse. Stop calling it closeness, love, affection. No, it was abuse, it was control. That's it. That's what it was, and not closeness, affection, and love. Yeah. Release the false guilt. Yeah, the responsibility to, meet your parents' needs. You know, it was never yours. Let them meet their needs, not you. Yeah, you need to let go of that. Meeting their needs is not your responsibility. Yeah, and your needs is your responsibility. Their needs is their responsibility. Yeah, so let go of that false guilt. The other thing, that you can do is grieve the parent that you never had. Allow yourself to mourn the fantasy. Just grieve. Yeah, they are alive, they're there, but grieve the parent they were unable to be. Just grieve about it, and that's it. It is going to help you. It is going to help you move on in life. The other thing that you can do is reclaim your body. Engage in somatic therapy, breath work, and you need to understand movement really helps when it comes to releasing trauma. A lot of somatic, release exercises helped me, release a lot of things. I used to have a lot of pain on my shoulder, my chest, my neck, and I got in touch with this therapist who was into a lot of somatic therapy, and she guided me, and it really worked. It helped me. I had a lot of guilt and shame, I was battling, and the some of the exercises, it really helped me. It did take time. Sometimes I do experience all of those negative emotions, and I do get flare-ups, and it does hurt and ache. But again, when I start doing those you know somatic exercises, it helps to release. Yeah, so I mean, that's something that I'm suggesting with my own experience. So somatic therapy also helps. Breath work also helps. It does help. And overall, movement helps. So if you can't do breath work, if you can't do any somatic therapy or exercise, just walk. When you walk, your reptilian mind stops chattering. It silences. Now, only when you don't walk, there's a lot of chatter. So keep walking. Walking really helps. And apart from that, there are other options also that can help you heal, like inner child work, shadow integration, trauma-informed therapy, REBT, CBT, EMDR. All of it, is going to help you in some ways or the other. I mean, I personally feel somatic, helps. Trauma-informed therapy helps. Trauma-informed talk therapy helps. CBT also helps. Somatic helps. I have got mixed opinion about shadow integration, shadow work, and REBT. But yes, CBT is really helpful, and EMDR is also helpful. At times, I do take help of EMDR. Whenever I have a a flashback or anything related to my past experience, if any of those things resurface, or if I go into a spiral, I take help of somatic therapy, I take help of EMDR, and I take help of CBT. It helps me. Not that I'm saying because I'm a CBT coach as well. No, it helps me. I mean, I definitely don't treat myself. I reach out to other CBT experts, and they help me. But yes, CBT helps. CBT, EMDR, somatic therapy, and trauma-informed talk therapy, the best to help and retrain yourself, re-educate yourself, and get rid of all that that you were believing to be true. Yeah. So healing from emotional incest is one of the hardest journeys, because the person who broke you was the one you trusted the most. Yeah, it's our default setting. We trust our parents, and sadly they are the ones who abuse us and who break us into million pieces. Yeah, but here's the truth, a hard truth for all of you. You are not what happened to you. You are not your parents' possession. You are your own person. You are you. You are not them. You are not what they put you through. You are not what, they made you believe. You are you. Yeah? They made you experience. They made you go through a lot of bad things. And I mean, nobody can forget that. But trust me, you are you. So yes, this was it. In case if you would like to add in something, you can always comment below. Till then, take care of yourself. Lots of love and blessings to all of you. Bye.